you, man.
Oh,
Appreciate
yeah.
it.
Damn,
Yeah,
forgot, man.
yeah, man. It's another year. I turned 21
That's what's
today,
up,
man.
man. That's what's
Hey,
up.
Nice,
Keep
nice.
it. Yep.
yeah, man. I'm finally
That's it.
legal.
So
Finally
you
legal. Now we go party the right way.
Masters
That's what's
5
up, man.
now?
Masters 5. Thanks, Fernando.
Thanks, man. You trying to keep it,
Man,
undercover, man.
man. I'm
Yeah.
grandfather, bro. Dang. I feel
But
I
yeah,
feel it I feel it in my knees though, man. I feel it in my knees and my back. This week it's funny because I don't know, I hurt my knee playing basketball with the kids
Oh man.
this week. It always happens with something outside of jiu-jitsu. It's funny. And I was wearing that copper sleeve,
Mm-hmm.
because remember for
mm,
Pacheco was talking about that, how he lives with that junk, and tried it on. It was pretty good, man. I felt the difference for sure. But
mm. That's why he feels 21.
I feel
He put
21
on those.
today. I'm just
He
gonna
put on
wrap my
those.
whole body in it, like
He put on those knee braces, and your knees feel 21.
my
Everything
knees feel
else is.
21. Man, that's it. But thank you so much, man. Yeah, man. Today's 41
Yeah,
years old, man.
that's
But
what's
we're
up.
here. We're here celebrating on
Word.
Lambdas Road Live, which is awesome. So,
Yes.
man, well, welcome back,
Yes.
Fernando. You had a nice break,
I
and then
did.
yeah, man,
Mm,
hitting up Florida, man. It's like every other week you're in Florida, bro.
I
for
know,
real.
I
It's
know.
like
And JetBlue had a nice sale the other day too. I was like, ooh, maybe I go back, but I said, let me chill, let me chill. So
Chill out,
man,
man. We need you on the cast here.
I
yeah.
know, man.
Mm,
So yeah, last week we had a pretty cool session with me and Diego. Fernando was on his break, and we were talking a little bit about our journeys. I mean, we've been 27 episodes in as of last week, and we were talking about everybody else's journey and stuff. But we should talk a little bit about ours and what we've been doing. So last week we got a chance to talk a little bit about how we started jiu-jitsu, why. Diego kind of got into a little bit about his experience like training in Riyadh and Saudi Arabia, setting up a little program out there, and we talked a little bit about the history of Red Belt Athletics, which was our
Hmm.
initial
mm,
brand, and then we kind of talked a little bit about Roll Star, which is our academy, and how it kind of got came to fruition, and then a little bit about Lambdas who roll as well. So we want to kind of talk, continue that conversation because there was so much that we didn't really talk about, and we basically kind of highlighted the why of why we train jujitsu, kind of like the white belt stage. I wanted to maybe talk a little bit about your journey, Fernando, what got you into jujitsu, so that the crowd knows, and let people know about your story, man. Because
Yeah, absolutely. So as everybody knows, I'm a huge like UFC MMA fan. Been watching for well, I don't even. It's been a long time now, since very long time, and I was I always like from like the analytic sides of it. I was just curious as to what made their position like a dominant position when they got to the ground. Like, like I understood from like, the grappling sense because like I grew up, a boxing fan, back from when my dad, he was a huge boxing fan. But I didn't understand from the grappling side. Like I saw the two competitors on the ground. I didn't know like why this one considered to have the advantage and stuff. So I I remember, like it was like in Buffalo Wild Wings, because that's like me and a good friend of mine, Bori, we always would go, to watch the fights when I moved down here.
yeah,
And I remember somebody like flyering, for like their Brazilian Jiu Jitsu school. And, I was thinking to myself, like, man, maybe I should like learn that. And I like put it on my status. And then Hernan reached out. I was like, bro, I train jujitsu. And then that's pretty much how, that all came about.
mm.
Hernan pretty much, was the one that like kind of got me
Paved
started.
the way.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Even though, like, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna come this week," and then I just don't show up, or something
mm.
happens. It took me about what a good month before I actually showed up.
right.
Um, so that's pretty much my story. I like I said, it was fun. It was challenging. I just never, experienced that part of it, like the grappling side, and it got me curious to learn more. And
Did you
here I
ever
am.
try like striking, or like MMA
Like
stuff, Muay Thai or anything like
boxing.
that?
No,
Boxing.
like traditional boxing, yeah, when I was a like little kid.
Mm,
And then I did some karate um when I was about 6, 7 years old. Um, I liked it, but I never got to like any of the color belts. For a while I
Yeah.
was like consider myself a forever white belt because like when I got to, I believe I got to a 3 stripes right before my green belt. I decided I didn't want to do it. Wanted to focus more on basketball and things
Yeah.
like that. So I didn't get a chance to do it, which was a regret of mine because just to think about like if I would have stuck with it, and I felt like I had broke that, I guess that wall, that lull, basically, where it's like,
Hmm.
you know, I didn't think I was improving, but like then I started to
Right.
get better, but then I just, being young and dumb, like I just decided, hey, I just want to try something else.
Yeah.
But just to think in hindsight, where would I be right now?
Yeah.
If I would have continued my practice and things like that. But jujitsu, yeah, it's been fun. I wish I was more consistent, but I do enjoy it, and I thank you, Hernan, for being on top of me, pushing me and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that.
Well, you said you
Definitely
started
good.
jiu-jitsu to better understand the MMA world, the UFC, the commentary. What do you think
Hmm.
now? Like you're like 4 or 5 years in now. How do you look?
6
How do you
years
watch UFC?
actually.
Six years,
Yeah.
6 years of jiu-jitsu. How do you watch UFC now? Do you think like what you've
Oh,
learned is different?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could see them setting up moves from like from even like side control. I'll give you one example. Was Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till, and I spotted that Darce choke a mile away. I was like, he's going for a Darce. Even before like Joe Rogan or anybody was saying, I was like, he's going for a Darce. He's going for a Darce. Defend it. And sure enough, he hit the Darce, and I was like, this is starting to work. I'm starting to like really understand, or even like in the ground and pound, I'm like, oh, you got to get to half guard. Like once you pass that guard, oh, then you get to full mount, and then game over, things like that.
Nice.
So it's helped
That's
me
what's
a
up.
lot.
So awesome. So for the purpose of why you started jiu-jitsu, which was to better understand MMA, UFC, you got there. You're there, right?
Mhm.
So that's like an achieved milestone, right? And
Yep.
now I'm sure that your milestones, you've added onto them. Hopefully moving on, progressing, and eventually getting to that final stage, or not really the final stage, but uh, the black belt is hopefully we get you there, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I
Well,
appreciate that,
definitely.
man.
Yeah, I'll be
We'll
three
get
years
you.
as a blue belt on Wednesday, actually.
Uh,
Yeah,
we'll,
We're,
celebrating my
we
third
got
year. Yeah,
we're
Yeah,
definitely.
we got to get you
Yeah.
there, man. Got to get
yeah.
you there, and we'll try to set
Mhm.
up a couple more sessions for ourselves and start training. But that's awesome, man. And so yeah, man. So I want to talk a little bit about like how we all got to blue belt. All right. So maybe go around the room real quick and
Mhm.
just share what was it about that stage, from that shifting from white to blue, what happened, and like what changes, or what made the difference between you know um, kind of being a white belt and what changed into blue, and yeah, and just kind of sharing a little bit about your exciting day, because I think that's probably one of the most exciting days when you get the blue belt. You're like,
Mhm.
what? You get crazy, because stripes are cool, right? You get the stripes and you're closer, but then when you get that blue, it's like you finally broke through. You're no longer a white belt, and it takes a while to get there. So Diego, man, let's go through with you, like how was that?
Man, yesterday or the day before, I was talking to one of the students, and we were talking about this specifically transitioning from white to blue belt. Um, and I was like, man, getting the blue belt is the hardest belt, or should be the most difficult or the most challenging belt to get, right? Because we were talking about time, people training, and they're training 1 or 2 years. I think he was rolling with someone, and he thought he was training for less time. That guy was training for more time, but he thought he was doing good as a white belt. So I was like, man, that's great. It's good to have those techniques and feel that strong as a white belt. So when you transition into blue, man, you feel, what I mean, like you earned it. You feel like, you deserve it. You feel like you can carry that responsibility and weight. So I think like, so anyway, for myself, just, I guess, thinking back, the training was a little bit different. A lot of it was, the environment was great. The training in that time was great. But comparing it to now, it's a little bit, it's night and day, for me. But I guess, no, I guess learning and being able to apply, and then having someone recognize or acknowledge that I'm okay to get a blue belt, even though you don't feel ready, even though, because I've never felt ready for it. I've always felt like there was something missing, right? So every time I received a promotion, so from that blue belt, it was more of a like, man, like that feeling, like, man, am I ready, man? Do I deserve it? Can I carry that responsibility and weight?
Right.
It wasn't like, oh man, yeah, I'm a badass, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying, like, beat everybody up. And now, because, right, as soon as I got it, like, I'm getting beat up by, you know what I'm saying, Adam, who I believe he was a purple belt at that time, but an amazing purple belt, right?
Right. High level competitor.
So high level competitor, just so now you get promoted and you're getting smashed, and now you're kind of like, do
Starts
I,
all over again.
yeah, exactly. One, it starts to lower, and then two, it's like, all right, I can't apply everything that I learned. So do I really? Is it really worth it? Like, for yourself, right?
Hmm.
But then, what I'm saying, like, so I guess that it becomes that nerve, like, those nerves become excitement, or like they change a little bit when you do go into a next class and you get to beat up on those white belts, right? Right. I think that is where you start understanding if you're jujitsu. You can't. A lot of people try to compare it when they roll with higher belts, right? A white belt is like, oh man, my jiu-jitsu sucks, and who'd you roll with? This brown belt. Yeah, well, you can't really compare, man. Not yet, right? At least not yet. But anyway, what I'm saying. So that I think was the feeling, because it was a one-on-one. It was a private between me and my professor, and he promoted me at the end of that private. So it was a really nice. For me, it was really nice. I enjoyed that one-on-one. I respected him, and as a person, I knew him personally, and, like, the relationship was there. So it was a nice promotion, but obviously that so the fear, I guess, becomes something, after you challenge it with other students. I think
Yeah.
now it's a little bit different because we push our guys to kind of, like, not hold them back, but there's a lot to learn now, right? That the stakes are now higher, the bar is now higher, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think, like, now they have to check off a few more things, excuse me, before they're able to get a blue belt. And I think because and I think that's fair for everyone. I think for themselves too, when they feel secure and happy, I guess, receiving that promotion. So,
Yeah.
but
I
anyway,
mean, do you think? I mean, do you think? Two things. Do you think that is it the stakes that are higher, or the level of the school is also a little bit more? It's a little different because where you got your blue belt, I mean they had some high level competitors. I'd say Adam was a pretty high level competitor, but I don't know if that was the level. I mean the purpose of their school. I mean that wasn't their main
right,
mission, right?
right,
And then you have like Roll Star, who I think was more like an in between type of school, right? We have
right,
professors who are very much into competition. So you kind of want to make sure that they are ready because a lot of the students do compete. So I think it
absolutely,
also kind of has to do with the academy as well because I did
right,
see that on my side too when I was trading at 88. It was very hard to get a blue belt because you kind of had to meet a certain criteria. And then when I switched over to Capital, it was more oriented on the self defense. So you had to kind of meet those expectations. So
so,
it's a
right.
little different, right? And then, but I was gonna say, it doesn't it is as if do you roll or like from your experience, do you think that when you're rolling with Adam, was he rolling different with you as a white belt? And then once you got the blue belt, he was like, all right, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit now. Like, do you
Probably. I mean, I think if I can, I was getting my butt whooped no matter what.
no matter
So
what?
I think like, probably now if I have to, like, replay that, the mentality is different, right? So as a black belt, like, I think about it different. He probably did turn it up, or maybe it was just him being, rolling normal, but me not being able to manage it or handle it, or thinking it's, so. But I do think the environment does make a huge difference, and I think we cater to we have that balance of both, right? Because, you know uh, people. Some people don't like the competition. Some people don't like the self defense. Some people like the middle. So it's just try to cater into both now.
Yeah.
I think it's benefit. I think it's even if you're not a competitor, I feel like it, man. I think it's a must to compete, right? At least one time, and like we say, right, in every belt level, what I'm saying, even if it's just for fun, even if it's just to try it, even if it's one time in your whole career, I guess, for that
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
but
agree.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the
Fernando, how'd you get your blue belt, man?
Um, well, I got it November 3rd, 2018. After 3 years of training, on and off, mostly off. I'll be honest. Right, buddy, you guys know that for
Mhm.
sure. Um, it it was strange because like I wasn't expecting it, and then when I got it, it was a huge relief. But I think I had like, I'll be honest, I had like a bad mentality. I think as a white belt, I that's what I wanted. Like that was the goal. Instead of like focusing on just the jujitsu, getting better, improving, and things like that. I just wanted like I guess kind of like the status of having that, and I kind of lost
Mhm.
myself. And then when I finally got it, like I didn't realize that the expectations get different. I remember my first class after the promotion. Um, we went to class. There was a technique that was taught, and a brand new white belt came to me. He's like, "Oh, can you help me with that?" And I was like, "Rrr," like because I was like, I don't even know myself. So then that's
Yeah.
when I realized that the expectation, now that I have a little like some pigmentation on my belt, they think that I'm that I know certain things, or they expect me to help them with that. So the expectations definitely, the roles definitely changed. I also felt like with that comes like a target, because like other white belts who might not have gotten promoted, or or on the cusp of getting promoted,
Right.
they want to now go at me, to like prove themselves to the professor, say, hey, like I I should be getting that soon
You
too.
become that
Yeah.
target. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that
So I
happens.
realized that the roles definitely got a lot harder, even with the upper levels as well. Like I felt like maybe they might have taken it down down a notch to my level, because like I said, as white belt, there's not really no expectation, But then once you progress, like that's when everything
It's
changes.
fun. It's when you mentioned the whole hey, can you help me? I think that's really important, right? If you can explain something, that means you understand yourself, right? Isn't that so?
Absolutely.
So,
Right.
I so that is one thing that throughout time, depending on who's gotten promoted, we've tried that. Hey, you have to teach a class,
Mhm.
or you have to share something that you enjoy. It doesn't matter what it is, like, but something that you enjoy, but you have to explain it. And I think like I think that's huge, man.
Mhm.
When it
Yeah.
comes to getting promoted, because it helps you too. It helps
Yeah,
you,
yeah, I agree. Like that's something that I'm really interested in. Especially now that I had just finished coaching soccer. I kind of enjoyed it. I enjoyed like like seeing like the little the kids who are 7 and under, like progress throughout the season, and it's something that I am interested. Although I am nervous though, like trying to teach it. Not because I don't know the technique. It's just more, I guess, more of a like a confidence thing. Like how do I grasp, especially like a younger
Mhm. Yeah.
audience attention for an hour. That's the thing that
It's fun,
that I'm
man. I mean,
afraid
you're
of.
just basically playing with them. You know what I mean? You're just
Hmm.
kind of like making it fun, making so I like teaching kids more than adults, man.
Really.
Not me. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
kids
have
are
to learn.
fun, man. Cause man, you can mess around. You play around. If you make a mistake, it's like they don't catch you.
Yeah. 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 They don't know.
But yeah, it's fun, man. I mean, either way, but both. I think like it made the adult teaching easier.
Oh yeah, probably
So
for sure.
so yeah, man. If you enjoy it, if you like it, definitely.
So Fernando,
But that's cool. Yeah, definitely the
when
coaching does.
Hmm.
when that person asked you about that, like, so did you help them, or were you just saying, you know what, I'm not really,
No,
I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I helped them, but it was weird because like I had never been asked to
Yeah.
do that before. It's always, hey Fernando, why don't you partner with a color belt,
Uh,
things like that. But then now
Now you're the
yeah, and I
color
think it
belt.
was like their very first or maybe second class, so they were like
That's cool.
brand new
nice,
to the sport. So
That's
nice,
cool.
yeah.
nice.
Hmm.
It's definitely a
Yeah.
good feeling knowing that people are going to be looking up to you and kind of using you as a point of reference.
Hmm.
So I think it definitely makes you appreciate jiu-jitsu a little bit more because it goes above and beyond your own self-interest.
Hmm.
Now you're sharing with other people, and that definitely helps you grow, not only as a martial artist but as a person too, because now you're dealing with people and trying to help them out and stuff, and it kind of just brings it out. It takes out or brings out a different type of feeling and emotion to it that the shit on the mat. So that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So as far as for me, my promotion for Blue Belt, so it's actually kind of interesting. I started at Crazy 88. I started at Crazy 88 in 2009, and for about a year and some change, I was with them. Really tough training, a lot of competitive style training. I mentioned last time we were on last week that I was on the competition team, which was like a pretty tough tryout.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had that tryout like it was like at
Yeah.
three
That was
o'clock in the
crazy,
morning,
man.
3 o'clock in the morning to like over 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, which is crazy. Um, but I it's funny because I felt like that whole time I didn't learn anything, you know. And I mean, I would train jiu-jitsu, I would do it, but I felt like there was something that didn't click. And I just did what I saw and did my best. And sometimes I did well, sometimes I
There's a
didn't.
lot of sparring and stuff. You were
There
just
was
getting
yeah, there was a
getting
lot
sparring,
of sparring, a lot
drilling
of
and
a
stuff.
lot of drilling, a lot of sparring. And but for some reason I don't know, it felt difficult, right? And after a year in, I was like, oh man, am I gonna get my blue belt? Because by that time I already knew that it would take about a year and a half. I saw some people already getting blue, and I was like, okay, I'm on the competition team. I'm doing circuits and stuff like that too, and
Yeah.
um but I felt like, yo, man, how come I'm not getting promoted and stuff? And I wasn't winning anything. I mean, it was hard. It was tough. You know, I remember going to an open, a New York Open as a white belt, and man, that was the one match I got smashed. It was like 10-2 or something like that, and caught a nasty arm bar, but I didn't tap. Went home with a sore arm, and the only thing I got was a pat on the back saying, yo, you're tough, but you
Yeah.
didn't do good, right?
Yeah.
And I think at that time they were using competitions as a barometer to level up,
That's how
or
they.
be
Yeah.
ready. Exactly, yeah. Because they themselves were a young team, and so yeah, man, I felt like something didn't click, but I mean, it was what it was. And then I actually was supposed to go work with in Riyadh too. Where I got hired to go and work Riyadh as an English teacher, like we talked about last week. But they didn't. My expectation was that they were going to give visas to my wife, my whole family, and all of us go at the same time. Turns out that I was supposed to go out first, and then stay there for a certain period of time, then bring them. And I'm like, my wife we just had a second child. He's a newborn. How am I going to leave them behind for X amount of time? No way. So I ended up not going. And at that time, I had just signed up with 88 to be on their like gold membership type of thing, which was like invest more training and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. But I ended up having
You had already trained for like
I
some
was already
time.
trained for about 13, 14 months, and
Yeah.
when we were already thinking about leaving, right?
Yeah.
And so I ended up having to. So I broke my contract, no, thinking that I was going to Riyadh. So that was the only way that I was able to like get released, because I know I showed them everything I was about to go, and turns out I didn't go, and I was like, crap, man, I just broke my contract. Do I have to go back? And at that time, I also moved to College Park because I was living in Laurel, which is real close to them. Moved down to Laurel, which is a little further south. I mean, to move down to College Park, which is a little further south. And um, and then the question was, well, do I drive? 45 minutes all the way up, and I was going at 6 o'clock classes. I was going to talk about six a.m. I was like, man, that means I'm waking up early, going traveling over there, and 3 4 times a week. And my wife said, why don't you try to find somewhere else and locally? And she was like, you either stay local. And at the same time, she needed more help with the family. She's like, you stay local, or you just stop doing jujitsu. I was like, I'm not stopping jujitsu. I got to go find something local. Turns out there was Tacoma Park, which is only like 15 minutes from, maybe even less than that, from College Park Capital MMA. That's where where I met Jay and Lamont and all that stuff. So I go in for the first time as a new white belt, or well, as a 1 year white belt,
A
still not
season
thinking
like that.
a season, I guess season, right? I still didn't think I knew anything, and it was kind of getting into that next topic of starting a new team, switching teams, starting a new gym. So I joined them and to try it out, and they were a very small team. I mean, they were like, I think there was like maybe 8 to 10 people in the whole school at that time. Jay was a purple belt, and the highest belt that they had was maybe like a brand new blues and mostly whites. And yeah, man, and so I started training jiu-jitsu there, and I did really well against all the belts, including the blue belts. I didn't realize that, and it boosted my confidence, and styles were different. Obviously, Capital was more oriented against the self-defense, Hoist Gracie lineage and stuff like that. Crazy 88 was, a Lloyd Irving affiliate at the time. Very competition oriented, more innovative jiu-jitsu. So when I went to the other school, was just different, just a different dynamic. I was, faster, quicker, trying new things, and I didn't even realize that. It was just like, wow, I was always there. But what the beautiful thing about going to Capital was I felt that the overwhelming information, the amount of information kind of slowed down, and I was able to start, figuring things out much smaller, and there wasn't that pressure also of like you got to succeed. That was really big for me, like. And then I kind of let go of the idea, like, well, I want that blue belt, kind of like, I think everybody does it. At that point, he's like, I want that blue belt, I want that blue belt. You see that, you no longer wanted to be that white belt. So I kind of let that go. I was like, you know what, I'm in a new team. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So I started training, and I remember Jay at some point he told me, put 4 stripes on your belt, and I had no stripes because Capital, 88 didn't give up stripes. I put 4 stripes on your belt, and I'm like, nah, that's okay. I don't feel like I'm there yet. And then Hodger Gracie comes November of 2010. So this is now a year and
Wait,
3 months, so 15 months.
wait, D Hodger Gracie, like Hodger Gracie? Like,
Hodger, no, not Hodger. Rodrigo. Sorry,
oh,
my
okay.
bad. Rodrigo Gracie. Rodrigo Gracie came by. Hoyce's cousin. Rodrigo Gracie came by. It was a seminar, and this was 15 months in now. Now I'm with Capital. I'd say maybe 2 months, and I'm rolling. It's a seminar, we're rolling and stuff like that, and obviously I'm rolling,
He
and
went a
that's when
few times there, right?
yeah, he
Rodrigo.
was there for a few times, like,
Yeah.
but this was the first time I met him, and that day he was like, here's your, put a blue belt on, and I got my blue belt from Rodrigo Gracie. Sorry about that. But yeah, that happened, and that's kind of how it happened. I ended up having, switch teams because of necessity, and then starting at that new gym, new people, new roles, different levels. My level of jiu-jitsu was just a little bit different, but it was a great opportunity for me to kind of find myself and start learning, slowing down the intake of information and being able to apply it, and make mistakes. I feel like and not feel the pressure of making mistakes. Right, the competition thing didn't. It was still there. I was still competing, but the school wasn't competing at all. Like, there was nobody that would go compete. It was just me. Every now and then I would go compete. But it wasn't like I had to win in order for me to get the blue belt, and I felt that in it, and that sign of relief really helped me progress, and I felt like I started moving forward because of that. And not to take anything away from ADA. I mean, that was a great experience. I don't think I would be where I am now without them. um but yeah, man, it was that's kind of how it went down, man. Just being able to find myself and try new things, make those mistakes without any pressure. So, but yeah, that's how it went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's
So
what's up.
so yeah, I know. So talking a little bit about the switching teams, right? And the what was your experience? Because I think all of us here have switched teams at some point, right? Tried out new things and stuff like that. How was that? Like, how was having to start at a new place? Because I did it twice, actually. I went from 88 to Capital, and then Capital I moved up to Baltimore. Same thing. Distance was pretty tough with the whole family. I ended up going to another gym at GFT. And so, how was that? How was the switching of teams for you? Was it a
For
difficult thing?
Where'd you go, Fernando? Where you switching? Yeah, on mute.
So I tried, obviously Roll Star, also Second Gear, because at the time it was my schedule. I just couldn't fit
Yeah.
training at the time because it was like work. I had a brand new baby as well, so I couldn't find time to like really to roll, like to go to like Capital. So then I tried Second Gear because I felt like the classes were a little bit later. Well, not later. I'm sorry, they were a little bit early, so like more like around my schedule could work where I can be home. I can like go to two classes and still be home to help my wife, like with dinner and putting the kids to sleep and stuff like that. So I did that for a while, and then the pandemic hit, and then from there, I just it's weird. So like I'm like loyal to like a fault, and it's really like bad, and I kind of felt like I had turned my back on my team, so like and Hernan remembers, like I was like, man, I don't know, like if I do the right thing, like I shouldn't have done that, like I just messed up, so I ended up, with the pandemic, they allowed us out of like, our contract, because right at the time it was like a year contract,
Mm.
because we didn't know when, it was going to be, because it was like right, like probably like May.
Right.
And then, I was let out, and then, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go back. And I've been back ever since. But yeah, it was good because like, just, trying your jujitsu against like other, you know, at other schools, like it helped a lot because I learned a lot during my time, at Second Gear, even at Roll Star as well. You know, learned like so much, and it helped me, to where I am now. I think I'm okay. I'm not, I don't think I'm the best role, but I know a little thing or two, I could play.
You dabble a little bit,
Yeah, yeah, a little
Dabble a
bit.
bit.
Yeah,
dabble, a
yeah.
little here and there.
Yeah.
But switching teams, man, I think like you know, it's it gets to a point in where you need to decide, um, uh, what's best for you, right? You're the one
Yeah.
who's making the investment.
Yep.
You're the one who's putting in that time. You're the one who's paying. You're the one who's it's your development. But I do feel I have a I do feel that there should be as a student, right? As a student, I have to have that loyalty to a specific group, to a specific team. If they're providing, if they're checking off a good number of boxes for me,
Yeah.
right? Because there's no school that can check them all off. It's impossible, man.
Yeah.
So if they're checking off a good amount of school of things, then I need, or if I feel comfortable, right? They're respecting me. I'm doing good, or whatever the case may be. I feel comfortable in in whatever it is that it's good for me. Then I would like, I feel like I should be loyal to that school
Hmm.
and have the freedom to build in other ways, right? So for me, for myself, like there was times in where I felt like I was loyal to a school, but I couldn't develop anywhere else. I couldn't train anywhere else to develop me.
Hmm.
So that restricted me, but I thought that was okay. I thought that was the way to go. I thought, hey, you join a team, you join a school, that's what it is. Whatever the professor says, whatever the team says, whatever the students say, that's what you do. So that was the norm, right? But that hinders you, right? It doesn't allow you to expand. So for us, as we're going and now we bring in our students, we want now as a business owner and as an instructor, it's my responsibility to check off as many boxes as you have, right? So you have Fernando 10, I'm going to try to do I'm going to try to give you and service you as much as I can, from jiu-jitsu to everything else that you need. But now if I'm not giving you that, I can't restrict you from doing other things. So if that decision is saying, hey, look, I need to switch teams for that, hey, no problem, man. Like, because again, man, like there's only so much I can give you. There's guys who have been like, hey, there's nobody here that I can train with, right? I'm in a certain division. I want to train with more people. I was like, yo, by all means, man, like what can I do? I helped. We only helped for so long, for so much, and the doors are always open. So I think like switching teams, if it's done in the right way for the right reasons, um, communicating with your instructors, or hopefully having that relationship, then I think it's good, but hopefully to avoid that, then trying to allow people to train in other schools, open mats with other people,
Yeah.
bring in other instructors. We try to bring in a variety of instructors, not just our team, right? Because there's so many people that you can learn from, benefit from. High level, I'm sorry, like what is it, popular or maybe not so popular, people who are competitors or not. So at the end of the day, like, just offering that. There's times in where I ask, like, what is it that you need for your jujitsu journey that we can provide? Because I don't want you to switch teams, right? Because
Yeah.
from a business perspective, it's beneficial for us. From a team perspective, it's beneficial for everyone,
Hmm.
right? It's I would love to see a kid, stay with me from 5 years old, I'm saying, to black belt, right? That's the dream, right? But let's say I can't service him or his family, I'm saying, within that time. Like, why would I expect him not to leave or her not to leave? So anyway, I think if it's done in a good way, in a respectful way, I think if it's done for your benefit, but I also think that communication should be done, should be involved.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, they feel like, oh, something's wrong, and then they just kind of like, maybe they don't share it with, or the instructor doesn't share it with the student, or the student to the instructor.
Yeah.
And I
I
think that causes a little bit of issues.
no,
So
I
what would
agree.
be the right
Long-winded.
way, like to like I guess switch teams? Is
What
it
is
like
it?
what would be the right what would like with you and Hernan as gym owners yourself? Like what would be the right way to communicate to your professor? Hey, like maybe this is not the right fit for me. I'm considering switching teams because I felt when I did it, I don't think I did it in the right way. I didn't communicate. I just kind of like fell off the radar,
Yeah.
just kind
Hmm.
of went like off the grid and, just
Yeah.
did, which I think
It's tough, man.
was, yeah.
I'm, I
It's
think
tough.
for me, like honesty is the best policy. Honestly, like because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Of course, like Diego said, and even for myself, when I've had people, go to some other gym, it hurts a little bit, right? I mean, you're like, man, and then you start questioning yourself, right? Did I do something wrong?
Right.
Does my jujitsu suck that much that I can't? You're not staying with me. You start questioning yourself. But I think at the end of the day, like Diego said, I do agree with the whole, it's their individual journey as well. And as a friend, as a coach, as a professor, my the one thing I desire the most is to make sure that they enjoy jujitsu overall, no matter where it is, right? It could be with Roll Star. Obviously, of course, we want it to be, but at the end of the day, we want for our brothers what we want for ourselves. We want them to have a good journey, no matter where it may be. We want them to fall in love with jujitsu at the end of the day, right? Um, but for me, I think honesty is the best policy, man. I think the best thing is to talk to the coach, tell him what's going on. So, like Diego said, you give him an opportunity to maybe fill you in. And I tell you honestly, like, it was one of the things I did because everybody, I hit a plateau around purple belt. I actually posted it the other day, and I think I asked you, Fernando, like, how did I get over it? So what happened with that, when I hit the plateau, I thought about, like, yo, I gotta switch teams because I'm no longer getting better at where I was, right, at Capital at the time. I'm not getting better. I mean, I see people doing this and that, and I can't do it. And I want to learn that. I want to develop my competitive game. So I started thinking about going to. As a matter of fact, I tried out other schools, kind of like cross training a little bit, going to open mats. I went to an alliance school out like around Gaithersburg, I think it was, and and then I talked to Jeremy, who basically told me, like, I talked to him and said, hey, listen, I'm plateauing. I think I'm gonna end up leaving. And one thing he mentioned to me was, you're gonna plateau no matter where you are, right? Once you get to that school, you're gonna learn everything they got to teach you, and then at that point, you're gonna be like, okay, what's next? And then you're gonna move to the next one. So
Yep.
it's gonna be a recurring cycle. Where
Always.
does it end? So he's like, why don't you stay here? And this is what the thing he said: stay here and self-evaluate yourself. Like, stop and look at what you're doing and try something, force yourself to try something new. And that was really it. That's why we always constantly push this whole white belt mindset. because it's really important for you to stop your A game, stop your default game, and put yourself back into that white belt phase where you didn't know anything, and just try something new. So that
Yeah.
really helped me kind of overcome that plateau, and I did that. So I went from playing De La Hiva to passing, and I was like, it's a whole new world. And now I kind of felt like I was at the bottom again, and it felt great doing that. And at the same time, I started introducing more advanced techniques, and people became interested in it. But the whole point of it is I was honest, and I told him, hey, listen, this was going to happen, and he gave me some sincere advice, right?
I,
So go ahead.
yeah, sorry, man. I think it's a little different now that we have a different perspective because we're looking at it from both views now. Same man. I spoke to Mike. And I went up to him. I remember it. I think it was after Blue or before. And I told him I was like the same thing, that hey, I don't feel like I feel like I need a little bit more, right? And he was like, the same advice, man, and or similar advice, where it's like, wherever you go, um it's gonna be the same. It's basically like on you. Like,
Right.
I could
Right.
only give you so much. You have to push yourself past those
Pass that.
points, right? And man, I guess I wish I would have listened then, now, because I understand it now. Now it's completely different. Now, as a white belt, I'm like, oh man, no man, I need more. I need that, I'm saying, that training. Now I'm like, man, I understand what he was saying, because where you're gonna go, there's limitations to everywhere. I'm saying,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
I mean, again, I think just speaking and just telling him
yeah,
like how you feel, because at the end of the day, there's two things, right? And I've always been, it's for me, it's always been two things. I understand the whole thing about loyalty, and it's we were talking about the whole Creoncha thing about before, right? This whole labeling a concept of being disloyal and stuff like that, which I think applies in certain situations. But at the end of the day, like Diego said, you're investing in your journey, especially if you're paying a monthly, right? Now, if you're a free member, and you have a deal with the owner where you're kind of cleaning the mats and kind of helping out, and this is and that I think at that point it's a little hard to swallow and say,
just
hey man, I'm out, right? Like, but wait a minute, I did a lot for you, and you kind of like leaving me behind. That I think is a little bit more shady, I would say. But if you're a paying member, you're paying your monthlies or whatever, um, then I think it's a simple conversation of having, hey, listen, this is it, and I'm going to try something else. And
it's
even
a
if you,
hard, yeah, it's
I
a
was
hard
gonna
pill
say,
to it's a hard pill to swallow, man. Sorry, man,
yeah,
but like, at the end of the day, like, you need a service. You also need,
right.
something provided, right?
Right, right.
Sorry,
And
man. I
then
was gonna.
and at the end of the day, I mean, even if you are that person who, being helped out, kind of like, subsidized or whatever it is, it's still your journey too at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's about being honest and stuff like that, and telling him, hey, this is what I'm lacking. Maybe being open to hearing some advice, and if maybe the advice is not what you're looking for, then mutually, kind of stepping away. I mean, circumstances happen. Point in case, me having to leave Capital after like 8-9 years, right? All the way from white to brown, and then having to come to a new gym, mostly because of having of the distance of being able to travel, making the times for the classes, that would have been very difficult. And having a sincere conversation with these guys and saying, hey, you know what, this is what's going on. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to like step back. And they were cool. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all cool. We're fine. We have a great relationship with those guys. And now it's at us. It's even. I think it's even closer now because we're all black belts, and we kind of feel like we can learn from each other. Benefit when every time I go to Capital, it's always smiles and hugs and stuff like that. And same thing when we see Lamont and stuff, we always hang out. So I think that's the case, man. I think honestly, like if you're considering it and maybe you don't find if it's not a right fit where you are, just have a sincere sit down conversation. Don't be afraid about it.
Or if you're gonna leave Roadstar, you got to go through a gauntlet.
Yeah, that's the only thing,
Yeah,
right?
man.
You know what I
But that's it.
mean?
That's really it. I think honestly, it's always just
No,
gonna be
but
a nerve
yeah,
wracking
man.
thing. It's always gonna be a
But
nerve wracking thing.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's what it was for me. Like, it was just like I didn't know. I guess it was that fear of
You
like,
didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
exactly, yeah,
yeah,
and
which
that's
is fair.
mhm.
That's gonna
Which is
happen no
fair,
matter what,
man.
honestly,
Yeah,
because it's. I think I put it this way: like you're only gonna hurt my feelings. Like say this is between me and you, right? For that, like you say, you're telling me, hey, here, and I gotta break out. Um, I'm only gonna hurt. My feelings are only gonna hurt if I let my feelings get hurt. Right? It's my reaction. I control my emotions. But I mean, I get that you're concerned about my emotions and my feelings, but at the end of the day, I also control those too. So I could be the one to say, "That's cool, all right," and no feelings hurt, no harm foul, boom, no harm, no foul, and you break out, and that's perfectly fine, and I support you for your decision. Or I can kind of be like, man, let's start questioning yourself, whatever.
Mm.
That's a human characteristic. It's going to happen no matter what. I think that yeah, it's great that you have those feelings and you're considering that, because it just shows your human side, your compassionate side, your caring side, which is a great thing to have. Um, but at the same time, those things can't hold you back from anything in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the next step may be the better step for you, right? It's the same thing like in any relationship or anything like that, or any decision at work, right? Oh, I'm not going to leave my job because I have a great relationship with my boss, but at the same time, every other colleague, it's toxic, or every other, or my pay is not really well, but I need to make moves for my family. The same thing with with a relationship, man. This is a toxic relationship, whatever the case may be, but I don't want to hurt her feelings, right?
I've been,
That's
yeah.
right, exactly. And
Mhm.
but so at the at some point in time, we have to think about ourselves. We have to think, what's best for Fernando, what's best for Hernan, what's best for Diego, and we have to make those hard decisions. But again, I think it boils down, in this particular case, in this world of jiu-jitsu, it really boils down to having a clear conversation, setting what my expectations are, giving the chance for the professor to maybe help meet those expectations, and if it doesn't happen, then you know what, you got to do what's best for you. Who knows, man? It's kind of like that. What's that phrase that goes? If you love something, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes back to you,
That's
it's
that.
yours.
The
If it
Bro,
doesn't,
DMX.
it
stop,
never was.
stop listening
Hold
to
me down, baby.
DMX, bro.
Hold me
Stop
down, baby.
listening to DMX, man.
That
Yeah, bro.
the poet DMX, known as DMX, rest in peace.
Boy,
But
That's
it's like that, man. Isn't that? But
man,
isn't that how life is, right?
we just gave Fernando a Dr. Phil session, man. We
Hold me,
just yo, bro,
yo,
don't if you're gonna
hold me down.
yeah.
But isn't that how it is, right? I mean, and this isn't that
no.
what
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, just when it comes just for in general, and this I know this is because this is an ongoing topic for many, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the jujitsu journey is very deep, right? Jiu-jitsu in general has a lot of information. So for you to feel like so for an instructor to feel like you're the only one who's gonna be able to give that to that person, like that's wrong for that person also. As an instructor, it was a hard pill to swallow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But thank God, like because I started early, and as far as like teaching and doing the whole school thing, I was able to let that go early, right? So I knew that you're not going to be able to give them everything they want in their jujitsu journey. If you're not a competitor, how are you gonna make them a competitor? Or if you're not a good coach, how are you gonna coach them to be a good competitor, right? If you're if you have a certain style, I tell all the big guys like, yo, man, I can only give you a short man's game, a small man's game, a certain pressure passing game or whatever. If you want to learn other things or and I can provide it, please by all means, like feel free to learn them from other places, instructionals, other students, other schools. But yeah, bring it back here. What I'm saying? Share. I think we mentioned this a while back, like where you're also benefiting the students, right? You're not just like taking the information and then just like jumping from different schools, because that also causes a little bit of like the community is small, right? So it's a little strange for individuals, I guess, to do that, and then kind of going into like the pros and cons of like cross training, where you mentioned like what we said, where so I think it's super important. I think any school that stops you from cross training is doing you a disservice,
yeah.
point blank, man. Like if I'm telling you like, no, man, you can't train it anywhere else, you can only train here, man, I'm doing you a disservice, man. Because at the end of the day, like again, you need to fulfill a certain thing, a certain cat, like you have to fulfill your jiu-jitsu journey in the way that you want to. If I could only add to certain things, certain pieces, if I could only fill that puzzle a certain way, you got to do it other ways too.
Yeah.
And the only way I can do that is by saying, hey, look, I know this is why it's my responsibility to network as much as I can. So I can, I love LUL for that, right? It helped me and it showed me the benefit of networking at an
Yeah.
early age. So now, like for me, I can say, hey, you want to learn De La Riva, and hey, I know such and such who
Next.
he's a master in De La Riva, man. Go down to his school, tell him that, you know what I'm saying, you know us. And that now provides you, now it opens up a network for you. Maybe I can't give it to you directly, but I'm gonna try my best to connect it in a different way. And that's the way that life works in general, as far as work, business, and you know. So I think it's a responsibility for both. A student should go in knowing that, hey, look, I have a certain thing that needs to be fulfilled, and that the majority of it has to come from the school that you're choosing. That I do agree. Like, it can't be where, oh, I'm only giving you 20% and 80% now you have to go find it yourself. No, I have to give you at least, I have to pass that halfway mark, right? Because, you know, I have to be your foundation, your base. I have to, you know, as much as I can, right? And this is why, like, you know, it's the responsibility of the student to also share, like, hey, look, I'm not getting this, but I need this. You're right. And then we try to, like, add it, or, you know, include it or whatever.
That's what's up.
But it can't be like, hey, look, I need a 10 5-star gym, you know, and a sauna to become well, that, you know, those things. Now,
It'd be nice,
obviously,
though.
those things, it would be beautiful.
All right, let's
But
take a
yeah,
quick break and hear from our sponsor, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap it up. All
yeah.
right, here we go. All right, we're back, and we have one question from a viewer, and this is for you, Fernando. He asked, so Peter asked, how do you compare second gear to where you are now?
Hey, Peter.
Mm.
How do I compare? Uh, that's a great question, Peter. I remember you from second gear. Congratulations on your second stripe on your blue belt, and also too, I believe it was bronze at Pans. So he was like one of my training partners.
Nice.
That I told you that he was doing Pans as well. What I think it is, Peter. You know, I guess the difference is the school that I'm at is where I started from, and I'm like super loyal to a fault. So I'm a Nick fan, so you know, like 20
Mhm.
years of like misery, and I just keep doing it to myself. But the thing is just that, like, once I feel like I start somewhere, like I feel like I have to finish with, you know, even everything, even with like LUL too. I mean, you know, going through that pledge process sucked, but I was like, yo, I started
No, it
this.
didn't. No,
Yeah,
We made it fun.
yeah, right. Not with you two. I was like that I have to, you know, to do I have to see this through. So with like second gear, you know, Ken is an amazing instructor. You know, like he's somebody that and Hernan knows too, like even when like I would talk, you know, about like, hey, like I found this person on YouTube that I really enjoy his videos, because like I feel like I've learned so much in a 5-minute video, you know. And then he was like, hey, you know, like Ken is like up the street. And I was like,
nice.
I had no idea. You know, I thought that, you know, Ken was like in like San Francisco or something like that. You know, I think that he was like, you know, 15-20 minutes away. And I really like the environment of like second gear, family oriented, you know, a very close team. And I really enjoyed that. The only thing was the fact that I didn't stay, was the fact that I had started at Capital. You know, I love Jay, you know, I love, you know, Lamont, like the whole team. And I felt like since I started there, I needed as like, you know, I needed to finish there. And
Cool.
that's why, you
Yep.
know, I started, you know, I guess the process of going back.
That's what's up.
So
So shout out to
shout out to Peter,
That's
yo.
it.
shout out to
Peter, yeah.
Peter. Shout out to Kenneth Brown. Ken and I have a pretty cool history. I know him for as long as we've been training jiu-jitsu. As a matter of fact, we were white belts both under
Nice.
the Lloyd Irving affiliate. He was out in I think with Mike Moses. I can't recall the name of the school, but with Mike Moses, and he would come
Nice.
train. He would come
Evolve,
train
I
with
believe.
Evolve. Yes,
Evolve.
Evolve.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah, yo,
I was
he's a
88.
great instructor. I mean, whew,
Yeah. Yeah. We were
Mhm.
I
both
mean,
white belts, man, and then all of a sudden, like he moved so fast. But shout out to Ken, super cool guy,
Yeah.
really cool guy. He actually let us use his gym one
That's where
time
we
for
went
the
to the
open
open
mat.
Yes,
mat, right?
yes, absolutely. Yep.
Shout out to
Yeah.
him for that, man.
Yeah.
That's what's
Appreciate
up.
that. And all right, man, let's wrap this up because we
Yeah.
gotta go. Diego, we got an
Yeah,
open
yeah.
mat. I got a couple other
Got
personal engagements, and
Yeah,
we'll
I
wrap
gotta
this
take the
up.
kids trick or treating.
Yeah,
all right.
we had a couple more points we want to talk about with the live experience. Talk about our training, the trainings with some of these amazing black belts. We didn't get a chance to talk about that, but we're going to do that
We'll
on
definitely do that.
another episode. And we also want to talk about is it worth it investing in private lessons and seminars, right? So we'll leave that one for
Yeah.
next time. Diego, 10 seconds. What you got?
No, thank you guys for today, and looking forward to upcoming week. Yeah. So
Awesome. Fernando, 10 seconds.
Yeah, same thing. Just trying to get as much training as possible. Yeah, that's it. Happy birthday also, Hernan. Enjoy
Yeah.
yourself
Thank you, bro.
today. You
Will
know,
do.
happy birthday, bro.
yeah.
Mhm.
So hopefully
All
we get to
right.
see you soon.
Absolutely. And
That's
just
it.
to put it out there, I know we've already talked about it. November 26th, we are doing our next open mat in New Jersey. So
Oh,
for any
we
hermanos,
just
any
yeah.
brothers who are listening to this, who will listen to this, check that out. We're going to be posting that out very soon. More
Yeah.
details to come.
Details are yeah. We're
More
not we
details to
haven't
come.
finalized details,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Be
But that's
there.
the target date. It's tentative for that date. So we'll definitely put more details out. But other than that, thank you very much for joining us. Another
Yeah.
cool episode. Like, subscribe, do all that crazy stuff that you do on social media. All these accounts that we got, just like it, do whatever you do. Follow. I don't know what else is there,
All of
but
it.
support it, man. We want to try to grow. We want your comments. We want your feedback. Let us know how we're doing. The next Sunday, we'll see each other. Train hard and train smart. Para siempre. Take care,
Para
guys.
siempre.
Us.